Is This a Ghost is brought to you by Pickney Bend Distillery. It's January, and that means Pickney Bend needs your help more than ever before because I'm doing dry January. And without me drinking down all that Pickney Bend, they're hurting, and that's bad. You got to you all listeners got to pick up the slack.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Pickney Bend is kind of like they're like Gillette in November. You know, everyone does like the no shave November, and Gillette's like, my kids are starving to death in the streets of Boston.
When Stephen P. Gillette, he can't put mush in his children's mouths anymore for the entire month.
How many fucking blades do you people want?
Thanksgiving it's gutter water is what they serve at Thanksgiving in the Gillette household. And so
that was the first Tiny Tim.
That's right.
The Cratchits family.
People don't know that. Now, Pickney Bend is lucky they're in January. There's not any kind of like big holidays in January, but
besides dry January, there's your classic. I just gained 75 pounds over the holidays. I have an ulcer now.
I'm going to spend 2.5 days at the gym.
Yeah.
That is a good one. So when you want to celebrate that, Pickney Bend is the way to do it, I guess. With all their delicious gins, all their delicious vodkas, and they have whiskeys. They've got it all, folks. And you can have it too. And if you can go to PINCKNEYBENB, boy, is that right? I don't think so.
It was, yeah. It's their new website. It's based in China.
You have to have a stroke as you say it and type it in, or else it won't go there. PINCKNEYBEND.com. Go to Pickney Bend and check them out, and tell them Patrick said that they should swing on by. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Is This a Ghost? I'm Clayton Smith, and every week I tell a real story about real ghosts from real history. Should take it from the top. Hey,
no. Keep soldiering on.
Every week I tell a real ghost story from real history to my real friend Patrick Dean, who doesn't let me take twos. Takes two. Take twos.
You want to take it serious? You take it serious from the top.
Fuck it. We'll do it live. As a great man once said. No. Oh boy. Well, we're solidly in January. It's the 2nd today.
As we record and as we publish, it's as late as several days from now.
So that's right. That's good, Patrick. Thank you. And how's your 24 going?
24 so far? Very poor. But
okay, well, it's only 36 hours in.
Yeah. The first was good, but then it gets followed up with literally the worst day of the year.
Oh, you gotta go back to work.
January 2nd. Like there isn't a close competitor. I mean, maybe January 3rd. That's about the closest competitor. January 2nd is the worst day of the year. Absolute worst day of the year.
Think so?
If your birthday is on January 2nd, I hope you just move it to a different day. I really do.
Just change your name, change your life, your fake documents. You are now born on June 30th.
Yeah. Much happier day. People are outside.
Patrick's favorite month.
Absolutely.
So you went to work today is what you're saying? Is that right?
I did. Went to work, it was kind of nice. I was there for about 30 minutes before the rug got pulled out from under me, which is really nice. They let me have about 30 minutes of coffee before they're like, hey, just so you know, someone in our group just resigned and you get to take on all of his work until we find someone to replace him. But we won't replace him until we replace the 3 other people that left last year.
And I know what you're thinking. Yeah. No, it does not come with more money.
I actually had somebody text me. They say, well, congrats on the promotion, I guess. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That person chose violence. Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's an exciting way to start your, and and it wouldn't be so bad. I don't know. Do you think it's worse when you wake up and like you're like pep in your step, and someone comes and just puts a hole in you first thing, or do you think it's better if you wake up and you're like, today's gonna suck? It's just like I know it will, and then you show up and you're like, oh, it did suck.
Yeah. No, I think the first way is worse because the second way, at least you were right about something that day. That's a victory.
Exactly.
If you wake up and you're happy, you're like, this is gonna be, you know what, this is my year. Boo, 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 here I go. And then you walk into a brick wall.
Right.
That's way worse.
Exactly. That's like that's actually starting to explain my approach to January pretty succinctly. Honestly, be the sourest person in the room, and you'll never be disappointed. So.
Well, I'm gearing up for my version of that as well. I got about let me check the calendar here. 3 weeks from yesterday is my first day back. So it's coming pretty fast. It's coming pretty fast, and I get it. I feel it. I'm there with you. My version of that today was that one of my kids' schools is still closed, so we got to hang out all day. And there's a really great place near us that's like a play place, but also a work place for adults. So you just like tell your kid like go play there with all those other kids, and all the adults are like sitting out with their laptops.
Is this just a Starbucks? What are you talking about?
It's like a Starbucks, but there's no coffee.
Okay.
And that's it. And there's one I assume underpaid, pretty young person working the counter, and that's your day.
Wow. Are you sure it isn't just like a bunch of yuppies overtaking like a youth outreach center or something
what
like that?
What I have decided is that it's really
it is in
easy
a gymnasium, which was
it's,
suspicious to me.
It's in a YMCA basement. I don't know, but I really like it.
It's only $4 a day. You really can't argue with it.
I think it must be so easy to be rich because there are people like me who will pay apparently $13 to go work at a folding table while my daughter plays on an indoor playground.
And then as soon as you get up from the folding table and walk away, you see them walk over and just throw the folding table away. And you get a brand new one and set it back up.
Well, and on the website they had there's a waiver you have to sign, right? Because it's playground equipment.
Yeah.
But they never made me actually sign it when I got there and paid for anything.
Never made you sign it?
So I never signed a waiver.
Are you on the playground equipment? Is this the issue here?
Well, that's true. They also didn't make Maple sign it.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
They didn't have Maple make her mark. So, I don't know. So, I don't know. We'll do it for a while and then I'll stage a lawsuit and then make all that money back.
Sounds good. Give up a finger, make a few grand.
Yeah. It's not going to be my finger. I'm not on the playground.
Well, yeah, obviously not. So. I mean, kids fingers, they regrow. They're like starfish.
Yeah, they're like lizards, I think, is what happens. My break's going great. Thank you for asking.
Good.
Very relaxed.
I mean, I didn't want to ask you about it, right now because there's so much of it left.
Yeah, so well, you can ask every week, and I can give you an update.
What am I going to ask about next week or the week after?
Well, then it'll be like an audio flip book, and you can the listeners will be able to hear every week how my break is going.
Oh, what's this little gray thing in the corner of your flip book? Oh, that is Patrick.
It's getting dark.
And it's off the page now. That's strange. I wonder where he went.
Anyway, I used to have a podcast. I am pretty excited, actually. I have finished all the hard work on Broken World, my new novel, Apocalypticon 3. Yeah, which is one I started in 2019, and then life got a little out of hand.
Everything got a little out of hand there.
So I got to do like one more quick edit through it, and I send it off to my editor, and he does his thing and messes it up a little bit, and then I just click accept all changes, and then so it should be out I think early spring this year, which is very exciting.
Wow.
Patrick, the fictional Patrick, will make his return, his triumphant return.
Wow, I've died so many times in these novels.
Yeah, you're pretty bouncy though.
I bounce back.
For those of you who are newer to the show, I don't know if we talked about this in a long time, but I also write fiction, and one of my series is called the Apocalypticon series, and the third book in that is coming out soon, and some of them star Patrick, fictional Patrick.
Some of them. This is the third book.
Yeah, I guess you're in the second one too, in a way. Yeah, and it's fun. If you think Patrick's fun in real life, wait till you see how he is in the apocalypse. It's great.
Slightly more neurotic.
Yeah, but just as much creative. Disney World, actually.
Yes,
strangely. And for some reason, a machete that someone let him have. And if you haven't started reading those yet, you could do it if you want. This is a shameless plug for me. No one else in the show benefits from my book sales but me. But that's okay. I think I'm worth supporting. And
you do a lot of the work around here.
I do. So. I do the third most work of the four of us, definitely. So if you haven't read it, you can go check out. If you read Apocalypticon and then Post-Apocalypticon, by the time Broken World is out, you're gonna be ready for it. You're gonna be all caught up. So feel free to make me wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. I get $3 per copy.
$3 a pop.
But that's what I'm doing on break. Anything else we can plug for you?
No, nothing to plug over here.
Okay.
Everything's all plugged up.
Oh, you do have news to share, though. Do you want to share news before we get started about your new roommates?
Oh, I have some juveniles in the house now.
Yeah, you got more kids.
I have more mouths to feed in this postage stamp. Yeah, we got 2 kittens. A few days before Christmas. They're about 7 weeks now, I guess.
They're very small.
They
I met
are,
them in
yes.
person, and they're tiny.
Yeah. I thought they were too small. I didn't
want to say anything, but
yeah,
little runty.
I was gonna call the vet and ask if they have some bigger ones, but he was like, no, they get, they just give it a few weeks,
water it and put it in the sun a little bit.
Yeah. So once he explained, the food stuff, then they got real big real quick. So but yeah, 2 little ones scampering around up there.
They're pretty sweet.
Yeah, they're not ready to be on camera yet because they spend most of their time just sinking their claws into my wrists.
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
I don't really want to do that.
Claw on the way to the top. Maybe they are ready to be on camera.
No. So once I wrap them up in athletic tape or something like that, then I'll bring them down here for everybody.
Can't make jokes about that about your cats. People don't like it. We're gonna get emails.
Wrap my arms up in athletic tape.
Oh,
not
okay.
The cat. Yeah. You bunch of sickos out there. No.
Well, they're very cute. We're very excited for you. Congratulations.
It was a long process of driving to the animal shelter and having them throw cats in the car until you leave.
We tried to get one, but they were like, no, this one too.
Make sure you keep your windows rolled up around those places because they will just sneak in, really.
We did. When we got our cats, we ended up with 2, and we wanted to get 2 of them. That was the plan, but we went in. And they're like, "Hi, what are you here for?" I'm like, "Oh, we want to look at cats." Like, good, you should get 2 of them because you're. And it's like, yeah, I know. Calm down. No, you got a lot of cats. All right. Well, speaking of stuff to get through, do you want to hear a ghost story?
I would love to, please.
This episode, by the way, was suggested by longtime listener, a Jeannie out in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie.
Jeannie has been asking for a long time literally, I think about a year now, for us to do a Colorado story. And I have staunchly refused, not for any particular reason. I just keep forgetting to look for one. And then she did the work and she said, here's some links, do this one. So thanks, Jeannie.
The Rockies are spooky though, man.
They are spooky.
The U.S., it's got some varied topography here and there. We've got some kind of, the kind of sissy mountains out east and the drunk mountains.
Scary for their own reasons.
Yeah, indeed, but not really, geographically. And then the Rockies they just chew you up. They are just an evil mountain range.
They are. God, the way they just like rise up out of nowhere. I mean, Colorado is just flat as flat can be for about half of it. And then it is suddenly not. Terrifying.
See, I'm sure the Rockies and especially this side of the Rockies are probably haunted as fuck. Once you got over the Rockies, I don't think a whole lot of people came back. I don't think a whole lot of people were like, hey, I really love all the I love all the mild weather and the sunshine and the beach and whatnot, but we should really go die in the snow together. That's what we should do, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. You and I drove over the Rockies and I almost didn't come back because I didn't want to go back over them again. And that was in an Impala. Yeah, so thank you, Jeannie. And mostly thank you for sending me a story to do. Because, she also made a comment about, when you're done doing all those British ghosts, here's a Denver ghost. So message received. Anyway, so the Arapaho Indians lived pretty peacefully, I think, by and large, in this country for a long time. And then
what happened?
And then some Europeans came over, and there was slaughtered them all and stuff. And then things were bad.
Clear, yeah. After being slaughtered, yeah, things don't really get a lot better. Afterwards.
Not typically, but you do. Sometimes you get to be on this podcast, so that is fun. So the Arapaho lived primarily on the plains of Colorado and Wyoming, so I guess they were not much for scenery. And
they lost some sort of like bet with all the rest of the native tribes.
They definitely drew the small straw.
Oh.
So one of their settlements was located near the base of the Rockies in what is present-day Colorado. The Arapaho called this area Cherry Creek because when they arrived, they found an abundance of choke cherries.
Is that an eating thing or is that a
sexiest cherry on the planet? I don't know what a choke cherry is.
The only cherry with a safe word. What's that?
Oh, man. So this was also a major buffalo hunting ground, which is why it was so as good as a settlement. I guess they would eat cherries and choke on them and hunt buffalo. So it's good stuff. Good stuff here.
It sounds like a really exciting way to spend your time.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of fucking work. You think your January 2nd is bad? You had to skin buffalo.
Yeah. January 2nd in the Rockies. And the whole time you're thinking, I chose to be here. I could have just taken the horse south anytime.
We could have had Hawaii. But nope, we chose this place. So as Western expansion, the white Western expansion continues, white settlers, they start moving into Colorado, obviously. Now, as you've already kind of alluded to, they do not like the idea of crossing the Rockies for all the reasons already discussed. So many of them settle in eastern Colorado, and Cherry Creek becomes a pretty popular settlement. In the year 1858, General William Larimer comes to town, and he says, I think this is now mine. All of this belongs now to me.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, and you may be wondering, how do you do that?
How do you get such authority? I wonder.
He did this by laying cottonwood logs along a big parcel of land. He cut down some trees and he just made a border and said, I have this now.
This is how my kids play like playhouses in the front yard.
Yeah.
They just, get sticks in the backyard, lay them down in a circle, and they're like, okay, this one's my house.
Yeah.
If you step over this,
I get to shoot you.
I have another, yeah, basically. Castle doctrine inside of this stick fort, buddy.
Yeah, so Larimer, he went into Denver and he licked it, and now it's his. He calls this parcel of land Denver City after the governor of the Kansas Territory, James W. Denver. I think this area, I think the people of Kansas believed that Colorado belonged to them at this point. I mean, I think the Arapaho thought it belonged to them.
Right up until you get to the Rockies, they're pretty unmistakable. I mean, it's
yeah. How would you know where to draw the line? That's true. So he names it Denver City after James Denver, and in a letter dated February 1859, General Larimer wrote, quote, I am Denver City. And he may be the only one living there at this point. He may not be letting anyone else live inside Denver City.
This letter is merely addressed to all. And I don't really,
He starts selling tracts of his land to miners and migrants. And back to my comment earlier about it being, I guess, very easy to get rich. He didn't own his land. He just went out and said, this is mine now. Will you buy some from me? And people are like, okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Is there like a deed or something? No, I just won't shoot you if you stay on that part of it. That's fine. Come over to this part, though. Yeah.
But there's gold in the mountains in Colorado at this point, and silver, I think, maybe, but definitely gold. And so there's a lot of miners. They just want a safe place to live. So they're like, okay, I'll buy this land that you got for free. A lot of people, they trust him because they're like, well, he's a general. So, he must be important and trustworthy and responsible. And
yeah, he's probably got some boys as well. So you're like, probably stay on this guy's good side. Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out the title general, though, is one he had not from the U.S. Army, but from when he led a militia in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. An informal general.
Yeah, it's the general understood.
He's General Mills is what he is.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. More like General Kills. I know militias were different then than they are now, but I don't think they're much different. And especially not, I can't imagine in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Fewer hype videos, but that's really the only difference between then and now.
Yeah, he's a general like Colonel Sanders is a colonel. Do you know anything about Colonel Sanders' life, by the way?
I mean,
He was a fucking legend.
somewhat. I mean, he's got the herbs and the spices.
He's got the herbs and the spices.
Right.
He was a lawyer for a long time before until he got into a fight in a courtroom. He punched the defendant in the face, and he got disbarred. And he went around like delivering women's babies in the Appalachian Mountains for a long time because no one else would do it. And
Really?
he was like a door-to-door salesman for a while. Like he had this totally like wild life.
And this is all in the suit, right?
All
Like
in
the
the
whole
suit.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the one suit too.
Yeah.
When he put it on, it was a little big.
Yeah. He comes strutting in with a long soul patch and starts pulling babies out of ladies.
Yeah.
And
He opened up his
oh,
KFC.
Colonel. And he was like, Colonel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That fits.
He opened up the first KFC inside a gas station, and there was this other fried chicken restaurant in town. And so Colonel Sanders went around and started painting ads, like billboards for his restaurant on barns, kind of like they do for Merrimack Caverns in Missouri. And the other guy who owned the other restaurant got really mad, and so they challenged him to a duel. And like the other guy shot one of Colonel Sanders' friends and killed him. And then Colonel Sanders shot this guy and didn't kill him, but shot him, and then that guy went to jail. Amazing life story.
And I mean, I kind of feel sorry for the friend. Obviously, he's
I mean, he did start it.
Yeah. I mean, you show up at a duel, you're kind of taking it in your own hands at that point,
Yeah. Oh, the Colonel Sanders friend.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No. The foe of course, yes. He's
okay.
He deserves everything he's getting. The friend, I mean, maybe he just showed up. Maybe he just gave him a ride there. Colonel Sanders
Come on.
Yeah. I just need like 20 minutes. It won't be a big deal.
Can you stand? Just stand. You don't have to move the car. Just stay here. Just stand here. It's fine. Not gonna be long.
I feel more comfortable behind the car. Yeah, but I'm gonna look like a pussy if you're behind the car. Can you please just stand in front of the car?
Make sure the car is in his line of sight because it's a cool car.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be intimidated about how cool my car is. Part of my strategy. Don't move.
And I painted this big bullseye on the side of it. So I need you to stand over by that too.
Gotta cover that.
Yeah.
Cover it. Oh, you're not covering it very well. It's okay.
The duel's over anyway.
So anyway, this is not about Colonel Sanders, but I'm gonna see if he has a ghost because that would be great to cover his life.
Boy, I would love that.
That would be an episode. Like another note.
So hungry.
Colonel.
So
that'll be maybe
very
that's our new
hungry.
sponsor. Maybe we'll reach out to the Colonel and say, hey, you looking for something weird to do?
Yeah. Are you doing like a ghost pepper breading or something like that? Maybe we could make something happen here.
I like it. Okay. Now we're talking. Now it's become an ITAG meeting.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna write the whole thing off my taxes. By the way, Jeremy, cut all that because this is all. I don't want anybody stealing this from
Brown
us.
that, Jeremy. Anyway, this is about someone different than that.
What is it about?
General Larimer.
Oh, yes.
So he's not really a general, but so anyway, people buy all this land that he stole, and he really starts building something out there in Colorado. In 1861, Colorado is formally named its own territory. It's no longer part of the Kansas territory. Now, obviously, Larimer had a big hand in this, and he also made Denver City its capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't imagine there's much else out there at that point.
I don't think so. We wanted to make that Buffalo governor. I don't know.
I mean, they pretty much, like Kansas, there's a reason the only city in Kansas is on the eastern edge of Kansas because nobody wanted to bother going any further. That was just like...
If we put it in the middle, no one will bring us food. And then what do we do?
Kansas is actually like the native word for no more. Just no more.
So since Larimer had done all this work on behalf of Denver and Colorado, he sort of assumed that he would be the first governor, but he was disappointed to learn that honor ended up going to a man from Missouri named William Gilpin.
Hang on.
Any questions?
This guy invents the city out of thin air, which is then turned into its own, territory, again, out of thin air. And he holds an election where he runs legitimately against somebody else. Maybe I've underestimated or overestimated General Larimer here. I'm not sure which.
It was obviously a political appointment,
right,
made by the president at the time. Would you like to take a guess? Who was president at this time?
Which year is that?
1861.
That would be General Abraham Lincoln.
That would be the Colonel himself, Abraham Lincoln. Famous White House nudist, Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, man. That's a shame.
But so he didn't get to be governor because Lincoln said, I don't think so. I owe this guy. So Larimer was
got to make a bit of a compromise with this guy, if you know what I'm saying.
Do you see? Do you get it? Wink. So one of the first things Larimer did when he expanded his land holdings to make Denver even bigger was he set aside 320 acres of it to be used as a cemetery.
Oh, that's a sizable cemetery.
It's quite large. That is correct.
Now, that's if you pull up somewhere and you decide you're going to buy land off of a questionable man in the wilderness, and you're like, oh, what's that area over there? That gigantic area that stretches all the way off to the horizon in both directions. Oh, that's the cemetery. Oh, that's. Are there? Do you have big plans?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Make
yes.
no small plans is what they say.
But as we've learned in previous episodes, it's very difficult to develop an entire town and then be like, oh shit, where do we put the dead bodies?
That's right. So this is actually he's doing it right. He's doing it right. This one's not going to end up next to a clown motel. Spoiler alert. So we will learn more about the cemetery when we come back, but first we gotta pay our bills. And I'm pleased to announce, Patrick, that Is This a Ghost is once again sponsored by Smart Labels.
God bless them.
God love these folks. It's still January, and I bet you're still on track to knock out your here's what, you know what? Screw that. You're probably not. But listen, your resolution is dead in the water. But here's something they don't tell you. Here's something that the media won't tell you. You have really until January 15th to change your resolution, to make a new one, or to start one from scratch if you want to.
Yeah.
So there's a grace period.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've got time. So if you have either failed on one already or you didn't do any, or and now you're feeling kind of left out because like everyone's on TikTok talking about all the cool resolutions, like dancing funnier and stuff.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Look at all the protein I eat now.
Yeah.
That kind of. Yeah.
Chomp this powder. Am I doing it right?
Meanwhile, you like already gave up on the gym, and then when you came home from giving up on the gym, you had a drink.
You went to the gym to get the membership, and you did pay for it, but then you left immediately and did not come back. Because drinking on your couch alone in the basement is so much easier. But there's still time for you. And so one of the things you could do is resolve to be more organized. And especially as you're taking down your holiday stuff, now is the time to really, you can get a good jump start on it. If you organize, think about this. If you organize your holiday stuff really, really well this year, what a way to start being a better organized person.
Absolutely.
That's huge. It's huge.
Yep.
It's like if you run a marathon, might as well go 3 more feet.
Sure.
That's how your year's going to be because you've done it.
Yeah. So tell you what, you go into the pantry, you grab about 10 trash bags, and you put, and you just start putting all of your belongings in the trash bags.
All of the belongings?
All of them. Well, sure. I mean, where else are you going to put them? And then you grab one of your smart labels, right? Yeah. And they adhere to garbage bags, right?
I assume so.
Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? And then you merely place them on garbage bag 1. You look in it, you said, oh, all of my shoes are in here. And you go to Smart Labels and you say, all of my shoes are in bag number 1. And then you open bag number 2. And what do you see in there, Clayton? You
see all your canned food for some reason. And so you're like, all right.
Carrots and peas.
And you say, I made some strange decisions, but this is okay. I'm making progress. It's called progress.
Exactly.
New year, new me.
So after all of your belongings are in garbage bags, neatly labeled and organized, then you can finally get some rest.
That's right. And then you don't even need dressers anymore, or cabinets, or pantries, or anything. You can strip your house of everything.
Sell that stuff.
Yes. And then be wealthy
Facebook
and
Marketplace. Be done with it.
And
pretty soon you've got yourself $85 in your pocket and a whole lot less to dust.
And you could buy so many more Smart Labels with that $85. So head on over to Amazon like we do and search smart labels, all one word, buy your smart labels so you can do Patrick's cool idea of really getting your life, I guess, together.
It's a real life hack. It is.
And that's smart labels. We love them. They're great. They really are useful. And they're a great way to stick to your New Year resolution of being organized.
No matter what it is, really.
Putting all your stuff in trash bags in the basement. Tough to come back from that one, but speaking of things you stuff in bags and bury in the ground, do you want to hear about the cemetery?
Wow, you're like Kathy Lee Gifford with the
I didn't come prepared with chapter 2 of Pooh Corner. So also I haven't got any feedback on that whole transition plan, so I'm thinking it's probably not a good idea and people don't like it.
That's fine. I mean, I figured Jeremy's going to have the audio for Steamboat Willie playing this whole time anyway. So,
oh man, people are having such fun with that, huh? Okay, so in 1859, which was 1 year after Larimer arrived, and 2 years before Colorado became a territory, Cherry Creek had its first reported murder.
Really?
Gotta happen sometime.
So, does every person get 1 acre in the graveyard?
It was murder. Sorry, what was your question?
Does every person get their own private acre in the graveyard?
Yeah, until 321 people die, and then
right. and then you guys share the first acre, and then
it's like an apartment.
You start stacking them.
Yeah,
you still get like an acre to spread out, but you're on top of the guy.
It's a vertical acre.
Yeah, it's.
Air rights were not really settled at this point, so there's just piles of bodies out there. So, for the first one, Thomas Bienkroff was a Hungarian prospector who used to poke around in the Rockies for gold. On April 7th, 1859, Thomas was found with a bullet hole in his head.
Oh.
Now, he was dead from that.
Oh, yeah, back then, sure. Nowadays,
it's
modern medicine, you shrug it off.
Yeah, put some electricity through there and you're fine.
Yeah.
All my medical knowledge comes from Wizard of Oz 2, Return to Oz. He had been out prospecting, and in the end, the murder was actually pretty easy to solve because his brother-in-law, another Hungarian immigrant named John Stoffel, had come to Colorado and told everyone that he was looking for his brother-in-law, Thomas Bienkroff. And the morning after Bienkroff was killed, his brother-in-law, John, was seen cashing in a bag of gold dust at Uncle Dick Wooten's trading post. And he went to the saloons and he started gambling like a real king and buying drinks for everybody. And that's what he was doing when Bienkroff's body was found next to his gold mine.
Does he think everybody else is just like NPCs or something? Like, oh, I know what, yeah. I'm going to loot the body. I'm going to take it to the trading post. No one's going to know what's going on.
No, before I do anything, I'm going to tell people I am looking for this guy.
Yeah.
Do you know him? He has gold.
Yeah.
Where can I find him?
Suddenly, I also have gold.
So Stoffel was caught, obviously, and he immediately confessed to killing Thomas. They didn't have a formal court system, so they put together a people's court, and Stoffel was defined as, quote, a pioneer lawyer.
Maybe Colonel Sanders does show up in this. I don't know. It's not more likely by the moment.
Now the lawyer couldn't do much because Stoffel had immediately confessed. So he's like, I don't know what to say.
I'm here. Yeah,
I think you did it.
I'm here because there's 2 seats at the bench. I don't really know what to tell you, buddy.
I am getting some of that gold dust as a stipend, though. There's a 12-man jury. They found him guilty. Obviously, the next day he was hung. Justice moves fast.
And suddenly, there's only 318 acres available.
That's right. Here's a somewhat fun fact. Wham! The executioner was a local man whose name was Noisy Tom.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine you show up to be executed and it's like this solemn thing and they're like, oh, and executing you today will be the noisiest guy we know. Now, is he noisy in mannerisms or just is he a loud guy?
I imagine that like when he walks, his shoes go squeak, 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 squeak. And when he moves his body, go crack, crack, crack.
I don't know if maybe he was noisy in the way of like he just spoke to everybody and just constantly talked, which would be 100 times worse if he was executing you.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you here for? What happened to you?
Hey, we got something in common. We're both gonna cut out early. Ah!
I got more of those. You want to hear them? No, kill me. So anyway, Stoffel and his brother-in-law, they are the first two of the first people buried in Larimer's cemetery. Now, because these folks are Hungarian immigrants, they don't get much fanfare. They dug one grave and just threw them in there.
I mean, there's only so much room in this graveyard. I don't know.
So we still got 319 acres.
This graveyard's going to be around for a few million years, so we can't really just...
Now, the graveyard's built on a hill. Larimer's plan is that the rich people will be buried at the top of the hill.
Makes sense.
Because that's where the rich bodies like the view.
Right, sure. Now, their families have to walk all the way up the fucking hill, though.
So it's bad planning.
Yeah, but again, if you're rich, that's probably also kind of cool for you. Like, when I die, you could walk all the way up the hill to see me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I'm not going to walk because I'm rich. Someone's going to pull me on a rope. I'm just going to hang onto this rope and someone's just going to yank. So
I'm going to make sure like 3 pack horses die on the way to dragging me up this hill.
And stomp on as many of the poor graves as they can. So the rich people at the top of the hill, poor people will be at the bottom of the hill. And then the, quote, ordinary middle-class people be right in between. Yeah,
that's actually where the term middle class came from. I don't know if you knew that.
it's in
the middle of the graveyard hill.
It's short for middle classy.
Right, sure.
The middle of the classy layout of these things. Now, Stoffel and Thomas, they're buried at the bottom, clearly, and doubled up.
Yeah.
But it turns out,
although didn't the brother have a fair bit of gold on him at the time? So
it's no longer his gold though. Because now it's the lawyer's gold. That lawyer's going to go straight to the top of the hill.
I can see all my clients from here.
Yeah, it turns out most people who died early on were the poor people and the criminals, because they're the ones who can't get doctors or food, or who get hung. So there's more of them dying at a faster clip than the rich people.
Yeah, this sounds like a problem in my statistics class or something like that. Like, it's like start to express the the graph of how this graveyard gets filled.
Yeah,
because really, at the beginning of everybody's like, oh well, we can't all be rich people, right? We can't all be at the top of the hill. So only like the select few, and then after a few years, they're like, there's only like one guy up at the top of the hill.
It's kind of a downer hill.
Yeah. And pretty full down here.
If a train full of dead bodies leaves Kansas City at 6:15 p.m. A train of wealthy dead bodies leaves Sioux City at 7:20. Where are the bodies going to land when they wreck in Denver? Anyway, so the cemetery starts filling up with the gross bodies of the poor. And Larimer had called the cemetery Mount Prospect. Which makes sense. Yeah. But because it's full of poor people, all the people in Denver start calling it the Old Boneyard.
Mount Prospect.
They also call it Boot Hill, which I guess is kind of a common thing to call just bad graveyard, bad cemeteries. And Larimer thinks this is very insulting. He does not like this. So he's already like, these fucking guys, we got to get more rich people in here.
Yeah. What we need is more dead rich people. Okay. All right.
Now a plan is forming. Okay. Then in March of 1860, it got another new nickname, the one that finally sent Larimer over the top. There was an Irish gambler named Jack O'Neill who got into a fight with a local man named Rooker. O'Neill suggested they settle the argument with Bowie knives in the back room.
Oh. Nobody wins a Bowie knife fight. I don't know.
If anyone tells you that they want to do an indoor Bowie knife fight to settle an argument, you see that ground. You say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. So Rooker says, no, thank you. He refuses. So O'Neill calls him and his whole family cowards.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Rooker doesn't like that, so later he shoots O'Neill as he's passing by the saloon where Rooker is drinking.
Just
a pretty
drive
cowardly way. Well, he kind of
not even drive
him.
by. Yeah,
no, he's inside the saloon. He's like, "Hey, there's that fucker." hold on a second. Hold my whiskey. So O'Neill dies, and then the cemetery becomes known as Jack O'Neill's Ranch.
As catchy as Boot Hill, but okay, that's fair.
So Larimer's pretty mad. He's like, it's enough. It's enough. So in 1873, he renames Mount Prospect to City Cemetery.
It's kind of
yeah.
It's kind of giving up at that point.
Yeah. Now, rich people didn't want to be buried here because it's mostly like murderers and thieves and the poors.
Yeah, it's very much like a pauper cemetery at this point.
Yeah, and you want to be with rich bones.
Of course.
You want to be with dirty, gross bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any cemetery entrepreneur will tell you that.
Yeah. So the rich people are being buried elsewhere now. They open up another cemetery where the rich people are going, and no one is really contributing to the upkeep of City Cemetery because no one cares about any of the people who are there.
Sure.
Now, eventually Larimer just like, you know what? I'm done with Denver. I'm done with Colorado. I'm going back to Kansas.
Wow. Not enough rich people die here. Which
they didn't make me governor, and the rich people live for fucking ever. I'm leaving.
I'm thinking of Denver currently, and it's not dissimilar.
It's a lot of old people there. They were rich. So the cemetery is taken over then by a cabinet maker named John Wally. John Wally also just happened to be, quote, an aspiring undertaker. No formal training, of course, but
right. Well, I mean,
your boy in his dream.
Yeah. Pioneer wilderness undertaker. I mean, you do a couple field dressings and you think, I got this.
I can do this. This is easy.
We're all mammals. We've all got the same basic 5 organs.
What if I did this but for with animals that have
the purple one,
necklaces,
the blue one?
So it's surprising. He does a bad job of keeping up the cemetery.
No, I mean, he's spending a lot of time in his studies, obviously.
He's honing his craft.
Yeah.
He's not an aspiring grounds crew.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't do landscaping and vivisection. What do you expect from me?
So tombstones start falling over. Graves are robbed. Some of the graves are robbed by Wally himself. Prairie dogs start...
I'm sorry. The aspiring undertaker is grave robbing now?
Yes, that's part of his whole thing. I mean, I think that's why he wanted to be an undertaker, possibly.
Or he, again, trying to kind of hone his skill.
Sure.
And he's like, man, if there were only more dead people I had access to. Oh, wait. And he looks out the back window. Duh.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Yeah, weirdly, he would leave all the valuables in the grave and just take the bodies. It's the first grave robber in history. He took his studies seriously. Tombstones falling over graves. Yes. Prairie dogs start digging up the ground. Cattle break in through the fences and start grazing between the graves. It's kind of a bad vibe. And then in 1881, a smallpox hospital is built at the edge of the property.
It's very convenient.
A smallpox hospital is a conveyor belt, basically. You all get dropped into this mass grave. Come on in. There you go.
What a fun smallpox hospital. Has a slide out the 3rd story window. Yeah, it's not really what you think, though.
So the value of the cemetery is plummeting.
I'm sure the graveyard property value is really, really high to begin with.
Yeah.
So
it gets so bad that on January 25th, and I have here 2890. I don't think that's right. I think it's probably 1890. Denver decided to vacate the cemetery and turn it into a nice little park.
Hang on.
What?
How do you
vacate? You send eviction notices.
Right.
You scribble on the gravestone. You say you got 30 days to get out of here. Fucking bum.
Uh,
Well, we'll talk about the process here in a second.
Honestly, yeah. Like vacating a cemetery in conditions like this sounds a lot like just sending over a wagon to pick up all the tombstones.
Yeah. Well, this was what they did with Lincoln Park in Chicago.
Yep.
That was also a mass grave for a big cemetery from Chicago fire. And they're like, actually, this is pretty good real estate. What if we moved some bodies and then just said we tried real hard to get them all, but we didn't. Let's just build a park.
Yeah. They're buried very deep and randomly, especially after losing all the headstones.
Yeah. So we'll definitely do some Lincoln Park stuff too. It'll be, I'm sure, very similar to this one. So City Hall gave notice, quote, that anyone who cared should make arrangements to remove the remains of their loved ones and have them reburied elsewhere within 90 days.
90 days?
90 days. You got 3 months.
What day of the year is this?
This is January 25th
in fucking Colorado. Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Fucking permafrost. I hope you can do it.
Let me go get a jackhammer and try and pull Grandpa's head off and throw it somewhere else.
So now some of the bodies certainly were reinterred, but there were
the shallow ones. Yeah, of course.
The ones that had just floated up on their own in the last rainstorm. There were a total, before the reinterment started, there were over 5,000 corpses. Oh. No, sorry. There were over 5,000 left in the cemetery after the reinterment. So in 1893, the city makes a deal with another local undertaker, a real undertaker named E.P. McGovern, which is a great undertaker name. And he's going to remove the rest of the bodies and rebury them in Riverside Cemetery.
Okay.
But this is a government job, so they took they took some proposals and they said, well, this guy sounds cheap. That's how they
and his first name is 2 initials, which means he probably went to school at some point.
So I think we have our winner, gentlemen. So McGovern starts the job, and for a few days it goes pretty well. And then at that point, though, he realized, because he's digging up bodies, and to get the bodies out, usually you're breaking like the caskets because they're wood and they're rotting.
Sure. Yeah.
So he's reburying them in new coffins, right?
Sounds expensive. Yeah.
You're right. So those big adult-sized coffins, those are pretty pricey. But the small kid-sized coffins, those are less expensive. And so instead of buying adult-sized grown person coffins, he starts buying up children's coffins to put the bodies into.
And just like mushing them.
Hacking them. He starts hacking them.
It's turning into like the most horrific Play-Doh set of all time. Just
the consistency was very similar. Yes. He brings
my
an axe.
First Reinterment play set by Play-Doh. Comes with its own snow shovel.
Boy. So he brings his own axe to the reinterments now, and he starts hacking up the bodies because pieces will fit in a small coffin a lot better than a whole body.
Obviously, yeah.
So,
and once you do the first one, you're pretty much dead inside for the rest of your life anyway. So you may as well make some money off it.
There is no more light in those eyes once you do the first one. So go to town. And remember, he's got 5,000 bodies to get through.
Oh my gosh!
So he doesn't have time to be precious with this process. He just goes into a flurry with his axe, and there are literally body parts, quote, strewn everywhere. If you would walk through the graveyard any given day, you would just find pieces of bodies lying on top of the ground from where he had hacked them away and had not picked them up.
You know what he could really use to help organize all these?
Does he have any big black trash bags? Because
I'm just saying.
Oh boy. Well, there goes another sponsor. Check that off the list. So it's so bad that souvenir hunters start showing up to just walk around and pull jewelry off of discarded limbs.
Yeah.
On the ground. It's insane.
I'm sure they walk up with like metal detectors and they look around. They're like, I don't need this. It's everywhere.
So a few weeks later, the mayor terminates that contract.
Oh, that is a shame.
Yeah. And the city of Denver said, you know what? Let's just build the park. Screw this. Let's just build the park, everybody. They didn't move a single additional body after that point. They just built the park over the bodies.
In parts of bodies.
What?
In parts of bodies.
Yeah. Oh, God, so many parts. In 1907, the park opens to the public. 2 years later, two Denver socialites, I think a mother and a daughter, they donated a marble pavilion in memory of Denver pioneer Walter Cheesman, who I think was one of their relatives.
Oh, suddenly everybody's got some money, huh?
Suddenly there's money for the cemetery.
Nobody had money to scoop up all the bodies and throw them in Riverside.
Nope.
But suddenly we got marble coming out the ass.
And you should see, I'll show you the picture of this thing. It's quite a structure. So they built it in memory of Walter Cheesman on the condition that the park be renamed Cheesman Park. So Denver's like, I see no problem with that. That's a cool name.
That's a fantastic name.
So they agree, and so this becomes Cheesman Park, and it is Cheesman Park to this day, as a matter of fact. And here is the pavilion.
You'll be fucking kidding me.
Isn't that it's crazy?
It's a 7-figure pavilion, and they couldn't find the time to find a legitimate dude with a shovel to move the bodies.
Now.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Yeah.
Oh my God. The pictures of the weddings that people have in this pavilion are incredible.
Oh,
it's amazing.
My goodness.
So this is why they were like, okay, you can name the park.
Yeah.
Cheese man, sure. I don't care. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now Cheesman Park is open to the public, and people love it. Over the course of the next 50 years, some folks did end up reinterring some of the bodies. There's a whole history where like the cemetery had kind of splintered off into like, this is the Jewish section, this is the Hungarian section and stuff. And some of those community members would come and do the work of reinterring folks over the next few decades. But it's estimated that about 2,000 bodies still remain in the park today.
Oof.
And 7,000 body parts. Now, way back when the city started removing bodies from the cemetery, when E.P. McGovern started his fucking ghoulish work, ghosts had already started popping up. One of the first grave diggers who worked there was named Jim Astor. And Jim liked to rob the graves as he dug them up, as so many did. And one night he was digging in the cemetery and he felt a ghost put its hands on his shoulders. And Jim didn't like that.
Well,
he took it as the ghost maybe not being very excited about the fact that he was stealing.
He was
all
great
his friend's
stuff. Yeah.
So
a very rude ghost.
So Jim drops his tools, he runs out of the graveyard and never comes back. I think he left Denver, actually. He was so scared. People living in houses next to the cemetery started reporting, quote, sad and confused looking spirits knocking at their doors and windows. They don't know where to go anymore because their bodies are being moved. I don't know. I think the neighbors are going to know.
Yeah.
But, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go talk to that guy who's eating that hand.
Yeah.
People living in the houses there also complained about the sounds of moaning coming in through the reopened graves. And supposedly today, if you sit on the fields where the bodies are buried, you can still hear a lot of moaning today. Coming from under the ground. Yeah, it's great. Great for weddings.
Out there. Yeah.
Ghost children have been seen playing in the park, just to vanish in thin air. And there's also a woman in 19th century dress who walks around singing to herself. And if you approach her, she disappears.
Typical.
Boy, that's a woman, huh? I tell you what, every time
that's me with every woman in a city park I meet.
Hello, lady. Dust clouds.
Poof, thin air.
Gone. Some people have claimed that when they're laying down, like for a picnic or something, they're lying on the grass. They try to get up, they can't move. They're being held, like pinned to the ground by unseen hands.
Whew. And weed is legal there, right?
Yeah, what do you ask?
No reason.
Sometimes on nights when the moon is particularly bright, you can look out over the field and see the outlines of the old graves.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It does sound nice.
Yeah.
But then there's the ghost known as Slackjaw.
Ooh. Did he know Noisy Pete?
According to a Denver resident named Lee Cook, one night Lee and a friend went for a walk through the park, and they eventually sat down in the grass to smoke a cigarette. And they hear the sound of a chain jangling. You turn it, which is what you want to hear at a park at night.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a top 5 noise for sure. They turn around and they see a young boy riding a bicycle with a chain dangling from his pocket. And the boy was riding his bike in circles around a thin, pale man dressed in a shredded hospital gown covered with blood. And as the man and the boy got closer to them, Lee could see that the man's jaw was broken and just hanging open.
Oh.
So they're terrified.
Yeah.
And they don't move. And the man and the boy approach them completely. They come all the way up to them. And the man asks him for a smoke. And so Lee gives him a cigarette.
Smokes with your nose or something? What are you going to do exactly, guy?
I got some. So the man takes a cigarette and he says, "Did you see them?" And Lee said, "Who?" And the man said, "The ones who did this to me. They stabbed me 15 times." And he like opens the tatters of his hospital gown and shows he's like got 15 very deep, like currently bleeding stab wounds.
Ooh.
And so again, Lee and his friend are fucking horrified. They have no idea what's going on. They're just out of their minds. And like, "You got to go to a hospital, dude." The man said, "They let me go because the hospital let me go because I didn't have any money." But he assured Lee that he was going to get the men who had done this to him. And he and the boy wandered off into the darkness. And then they disappeared. Slackjaw still wanders through the park from time to time, always searching for the men who broke his jaw and stabbed him to death.
Wow. Oof.
And this is all why I think we should not build parks on graveyards. We shouldn't build houses on graveyards, shouldn't build parks on graveyards.
It's a big country. Lots of
there's
room.
Lots of space. Go build your park on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
Bad. It's bad. If they were really smart, what they would have done, instead of making a cemetery, they would just like waited once a month, you tie all the bodies onto like a wagon and you attach it to some donkeys and you send them into the hills.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like a mountaineer Viking funeral. Just slap the ass of that ass and it goes up and they're gone. You say, "Go be with your ancestors." And then your ground is all nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I would do.
And the property value probably much better at that point. Much, much better.
I have to imagine so. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We should go next time we're in Denver. We should just claim it. We can get some logs and just say, "This is ours now." It's a redo, everybody. We're redoing it.
How much would you pay for 1 acre of this?
I looked on Redfin and I have some ideas. So anyway, that is the story of Denver's Cheesman Park. Thank you again to Jeannie for suggesting it. That's a good one. I had a lot of fun with that. One. I love a good grave robbing.
Oh man. Is there anything funnier than a graveyard?
I'm hard pressed to think of one. Well, Is This a Ghost is researched by me, Clayton Smith. All the funny jokes are from Patrick Dean. It's a production of Smith Show Media. Almost forgot that one. Our audio editor is Jeremy Montoya. Our video editor is Jen Swanson. Thank you very much to both of them. And hey, just a reminder, they are not paid. So you could help us find more people to pay them through sponsorship. If you help spread the word about this, go give us some reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and tell your friends and family. The bigger we get, the more we can bring in additional great sponsors like our friends at Smart Labels. So that's my pitch. Anything? Did you think of anything that you want to pitch for yourself, Pat? I've now done 2 pitches. Do you want to do anything?
I'll pitch out.
You want more cats?
No, I'm full up. We're full up.
People come throw some cats through your window?
No, we have 7 mammals in the house, and that is way too many. Just way too many.
Well, if you've got extra cats, Patrick's in the market, so go throw him in his window.
True.
He's got a history of just accepting things that you throw into his window, car or home.
No, that is true.
And I think that's it for us this week. Any final thoughts, Pat?
None at all.
That's great. All right, we'll see you again next week on Is This a Ghost?